Finnish response to United Airlines, cyborgs created in Sweden, food of the future, and 4 amazing funding rounds from the Nordics and Baltics in this week's episode of 3 Minute Friday with me, Dmitry Sarle. First up, YouApp, an app from Finland that helps you change your behavior in micro steps. They made a partnership with Finnair where the captain, for example, can tell you to get up and stretch. And that is really good for exercise, but also to prepare for your next flight on United once you get to the US. Next up, Sweden and Microchips. There's a company called Epicenter, which is a startup hub that is now allowing both its employees and residents to put microchips straight into their skin to open doors, print papers, order coffee, and much more. Although microchips are not a new thing per se, this is the first time a company makes a large-scale opportunity for anybody to install microchips. Moving on to funding rounds. First up is a company called Meniga that is originally from Iceland and raised 7.5 million euros. They're helping banks to make their apps and online banking user-friendly, and they're a bit like Fitbit for banking. They help you to figure out how to spend your money, how to save money, and tell you in great detail what you've been spending your money on. They're very user-friendly and trying to be like a mix between social media and a help app. The big difference between them and say Mint.com is they're letting banks to use their system to put it into any bank, and they already have more than 40 million users using their app. Next up, Tellitbean from Finland, who raised 419,000 euros through crowdfunding on Investor. And what they do is basically help anybody with an Android phone to create a web conference using their big screen TV. And they already have big partnerships with companies like Sony and Philips and have won a lot of awards, thus showing us that there's quite a bit of traction and possibility for people to start using their TVs for teleconferencing, for instance with their grandmothers. Moving on to Estonia, a company called Plumber raised a funding round and managed to get Taavi Kotka to join the team. For those of you who don't know, Taavi Kotka is the Chief Information Officer of Estonia, and he was behind the e-residency program for the whole of country. He was also the CEO of a company called Nortel, or Web Media, which is one of the biggest development companies in the Baltics. Finally, we want to talk about a company called Rebel Rome that raised a syndicate funding round from Estban, a collection of Estonian business angels who had a competition to figure out what is the hottest startup in Estonia right now. Through many rounds, they selected the best company, which ended up being Rebel Rome, and they put Wi-Fi networks on all kinds of transportation, say buses, public transport, trains, and even planes. And that means that the company will be able to gather a lot of users and also show advertisement to them. There's also a great opportunity to join a foodathon, which is a bit like a hackathon and a cookathon, where you go and cook food of the future and figure out where the whole food market is going. More and more companies are realizing now that food is the biggest market in the world, and they have to disrupt that, whether that is by developing new alternatives to meat or figuring out what are the future business models in food industry. To do that, you can join the Faster Hackathon by subscribing to the link below. Last but not least, we want to wish you a happy Easter and to let you know that on Tuesday we'll be releasing the top 30 startups from the Nordics and Baltics, and you'll have a chance to vote for your favorite startup and influence which one will be able to get the 50,000 euro investment by FIBAN in our Microsoft pitching competition at Arctic 15. Thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed this episode, let us know what you want us to talk about next time. Happy Easter, see you next week, ta-ta!